And hello YouTube, GSmaniamsmart here, and in today's video we're taking a look at Flashpoint, the newest episode in Living World Season 3, go over the patch notes that came out on Tuesday, as well as talk about some of the leaks that have been floating around, and talk about my first impressions on Episode 5, and give you a little idea on what I thought about it and how it went overall. Hey everybody, GSmaniamsmart here today on a brand new video for Gaming with GS, and welcome back to another video. Glad to have you. If you happen to be new to the channel, I want to encourage you to subscribe and welcome you as well. Plenty of other Guild Wars 2 content videos on the channel. We have patch summaries, story summaries, guides, gold guides, build guides, all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're interested, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button as well as that post notification bell so you can stay up to date with all the latest videos. Alright, so there are several things I want to talk about today, and I guess we'll start off with the most requested topic that several people have been commenting about. I've seen a lot of Reddit threads about it, and it's just been the most popular thing on the internet regarding Guild Wars 2, which is the newest leaks that were released for expansion number 2. Now, I was debating on recording this video yesterday. In fact, I had a lot of the content ready for yesterday, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about this topic or share with you the leaks myself even. So that was something I was debating yesterday. Part of me wants to talk about them and show them to you because it is very exciting news. And I know a lot of you are also here going to want to know what the leaks are and even want to hear my opinions on it. So that part is already very compelling for me to talk about it. The other part of me also wants to talk about it because currently YouTube's AdSense is at an all-time low, and a lot of this leaked content could make for a good amount of videos, and I could capitalize off of this pretty heavily. In fact, a lot of YouTubers that I've looked, in fact, I searched the leaks on YouTube the day that they got released, and I already saw quite a few videos talking about it, so several other people have already capitalized off of this. So that's the other part of it, especially with the whole ad boycott thing, if you are familiar with some of the other YouTube channels that have been affected by that. But the other part of me also feels like, even though I'm not the one who leaked the content, even though I'm just reporting on the content and I'm not really at fault for anything, it still feels somewhat wrong because ArenaNet didn't want this to be released. They clearly wanted a lot of this content to be a surprise to us. And not only that, but I've applied for the partner program, which some people are saying this might have been leaked from people in the partner program. No one knows for sure. But even though I'm not part of the program yet, if I would have been part of it, it would have been an even more of a reason to not talk about this topic. But like I said, I'm not part of it, but it still feels like a smack in the face to developers and even to some of you, because I know some of you don't like to be spoiled. I know some people like to keep the surprises. So not only would it be wrong towards developers, but it would also be wrong towards some of you who watch my videos on a regular basis. And developers have worked hard on this and they want to keep it a surprise. So I think maybe we should keep it a surprise, especially for those of you who have not even seen the leaks. But those were the two sides that I was torn between. So I basically slept on it, and over the night this morning I decided on whether I want to talk about it or not, and I decided not to. And I also found out this morning that not only is Wooden Potatoes also not going to be talking about it because he has similar feelings, I believe, but I also did see that Mike O'Brien, he would have appreciated if the leaks didn't float around too much. So that has backed up my initial decision even more, and I feel even more comfortable now not talking about it than I was initially. I'm sure if you Google the leaks yourself, you will definitely find them. The internet cannot be censored that heavily, and if you want to spoil yourself, you definitely can. But I want to leave you with something that I think is important to keep in mind. It's important to not only respect the developers and their content, but it's also important to respect the fact that these are just leaks, and these are just pictures, and some people have said certain things that are based off of leaks. That's what they basically are. This is not official release content. This is not pictures or statements that came from developers. This is leaked content. And it's important that we don't set our expectations and standards off of these leaks. That's important to realize as well. So if you do happen to run across these leaks, if you do happen to want to see these leaks, just remind yourself this may not be everything that's coming into the game. Some of it may not even come into the game. Maybe some ideas might be scrapped. Maybe some ideas might be redone. Maybe some ideas aren't even completely finished yet, and maybe some things will actually be in the game that we did see. I will not be linking the leaks. I will not be talking about the leaks, and I won't be showing any pictures from the leaks until ArenaNet announces it themselves. So that's sort of what I wanted to talk about for the first part of this video, in case you were wondering if I'm going to talk about it, if I'm going to give my opinions on it, and if you are disappointed, then I am sorry, but it's just a decision that I decided to make. So for the second part of this video, let's go ahead and talk about the patch notes that we got released for Flashpoint and all the content that came with it. And we'll start with the patch notes first. The main focus on this new episode that we got is basically, as we guessed, pretty much about discovering who the real Lazarus is, and we do end up finding out who the real Lazarus is in this episode. However, it's also interestingly about Timey's anti-dragon device to destroy both of the Elder Dragons. We do get an update on that, and how it could possibly give us an answer to save Tyria. So that's basically all I'm going to say for the episode. I encourage you to play the episode. It's really well done. That's the general gist of it. I'll definitely have a separate video on the whole story and the recap and my opinions on it. Later down the line, maybe sometime this week or sometime next week, we'll talk about the story and give you a quick recap as we usually do. We also got in-game a new legendary weapon, a torch, Flames of War, and it seems like ArenaNet will continue to bring out a lot of these legendary weapons, even through the next expansion, I have heard, especially because we still have quite a few to go. Some people are worrisome that they might rebrand these legendaries to Legendary 3.0 generation for the next expansion and just continue making the remaining of them, but I highly doubt they're going to do that. That would really be cheating the customers, and I don't think ArenaNet is about that. So we're definitely going to continue to see Gen 2 legendaries come through the rest of this year, and maybe even through the next expansion, and that'll be just fine. If you paid for Heart of Thorns, you will get all those legendaries part of the Heart of Thorns expansion. They will not be part of the next expansion. That's my guess, and I think that's what Mike O'Brien did say in the Reddit AMA. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't gone through that entire AMA yet. We will have a video on the AMA as well coming soon. I think that'll be next video, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look back on my notes. So, new torch. Looks pretty cool. Some people don't like it. As usual, this is a topic of preference. Some people won't like it, some people will like it. And on that note, Legendary Armor also got in the game, and the reaction we got from the community is as expected. Many do like it and appreciate it. Some people don't like it. The medium armor trench coat obviously got the most hate around it, and that was as expected. There are some minor issues with Legendary Armor, but I'm sure they're going to fix it. Overall, though, I think I do like them quite a bit. I do overall like them all a lot, and I'm definitely going to try to go for one of them. However, like I said in a previous video, this is focused on rating content, so if you're not an expert at rating, or if you're not somewhat competent in rating, then this is the type of gear that you might not be able to get. You may want to put some practice hours in and start learning these raids. We do have guides in the channel about some of the rating content. There are written guides online. I know Dolphy has some guides. And on YouTube, there are some people who are making rating guides as well. So there are resources out there for you to learn the raids and to actually acquire this legendary armor if you want to put the time and effort into it. However, I know some people don't have that much time, so unfortunately, that content will not be available to you if you cannot complete all the raids. I think you do need a certain amount of currencies and certain collections also. The other big update that we got in the game, which I am very thankful for, a lot of people are thankful for. In fact, one of my friends freaked out yesterday because he thought he lost his currencies, but they're actually in your bank now. Living World Season 3 currencies, Blood Rubies, Petrified Wood, Winter Berries, that whole lot, including the new currencies in the new map, are now in your bank. So they are in your material storage. You don't need to keep space in your inventory anymore for those currencies, and that's a great change. Hopefully they'll make that change for a lot of the other currencies as well, such as the Silver Waste chest keys and a lot of the other keys that we have in game. That would be really cool if they actually make those changes as well, and we'd have a lot more space in our bank then. As for PvP in World vs. World, no huge updates. We did get a new reward track based on the new map, Draconis Mons. And I'll talk about the map in just a little bit, but we do have a relevant reward track for that, so if you want to take a look at that and complete it, you can. Personally, I don't think it's that amazing of a reward track. I prefer the Bloodstone Fen reward track because the rubies do seem pretty hard to get. and the final item is also a bit better looking than this one. Surprisingly, there is no new stat type this time around. Last time in Lake Dork, we got a new stat type, the Seraph stat type, and I thought, and a lot of people thought, that maybe from now on, every new map they release, they'll also be releasing a new stat type with that. Unfortunately, that's not the case, but hopefully they'll be releasing new ones in the future, because I think it's a great way to promote build diversity and to grow the game into different roles, getting different builds, and it's just one of the things I really like. The more stat types, the better, and that's something I'm really rooting for. So maybe the new expansion will bring some new stat types, and if they do, that's great, because then we'll have a lot more build diversity and a lot more options when we are creating our characters and creating our builds for the classes that we have. And the other thing that they didn't release this patch, and in fact this is pretty old news, I should have mentioned this a while ago in the previous patches, but I just figured it out and sort of got reminded of it this patch. No new PvP map. If you remember, for the very first episode and the second episode, we got 2 new PvP maps, and we all had thought that maybe they would, end up releasing a new PvP map every episode or every 2 episodes. Well, it's been like 3 episodes now, and there's been no new PvP maps, so it seems like those 2 new maps that we got were the ones that they had finished, and they just happened to release it one after the other. I'm hoping to have some new PvP maps in the making, though, because having more maps in PvP is always a great thing. It adds more diversity to the game, and I'm still waiting, and still we have no word on whether these new maps are going to be implemented to ranked. We still don't have the 2 newest maps in ranked, and it's been a while now, so if anyone has any idea or some news on when those new PvP maps will be in ranked mode, definitely let me know in the comments section. Maybe they'll be in next season. Who knows? There's no official word yet on that. And the last update that we got from the patch is a new weapon preview option. When you're previewing weapons in your wardrobe, or you right-click preview anywhere, you will now see your character in combat mode when you're wielding a weapon. And this is a great change, because I always had trouble trying to view some of the swords or some of the staves or some of the longer weapons in combat view when you wield the item, because it just didn't look very good. So now there's a combat view and a combat stance viewable when you click wield a weapon, and this is a great change. I really appreciate that one. So those are all the updates that we got. Now we'll go ahead and segue right into the third part of this video, which deals with my impressions for this patch. Now overall, I thought the patch was fairly good. I did feel like it was a bit empty. Now I can't say for certain, because I didn't play the map fully yet. I haven't fully explored it yet. I will say though that we finally got a circular map, which is pretty cool. But story-wise, as far as the story goes, I did feel like it was a bit empty. And I won't go into any spoilers. We'll definitely have a video for spoilers talking about the story in general. But for what the patch did have, what the story did have, and for the content that the patch did have, I thought it was really well done. As usual, Living World Season 3 episodes have been really well done all around, and this episode is no different. What I can say from what I have played, though, is that not only was the story really well done, I do have some discrepancies in the stories and some things that I wish would have gone different, and some confusions that I may have. But as far as how the story was executed, I think it was done really well. There were a lot of parts that I was pretty excited for, that were really shocking, and how some of these story instances were made were really cool as well. Especially the last story instance was really well done. It was definitely unique and really exceptionally well done. It definitely was a story instance that we haven't seen at all in the game, and the mechanics behind it were really fun, as well as the new mastery track is also really fun, especially if you're gliding using the mastery track. Really fun to use the new mastery track, so if you haven't gotten that, make sure you get that. It only costs, I think, 4 or 5 mastery points, so it's not a huge investment, but what you get from it, it's really awesome. It's basically a grappling master where you can grapple onto things from a pretty far distance, and it's a really neat addition to the game, and definitely has given us a new way to travel. I don't think it's available throughout the entire Tyrian world. I think it's zone specific, and I also know that there is a guild decoration for your guild hall where you can actually use the grappling hook to go around your guild hall, which is also a really awesome implementation for guild halls, and really well done on that too. So hopefully they take advantage of this new form of travel for the future maps. We also got the large version of the mini transformation potion. If you remember, we had a potion that transformed us into a mini version of us. We also got now the big version of that. I haven't gotten it yet, so I can't say how awesome it is, but it is good to see that they actually took our feedback and they put that into the game, so really glad that's in. They also implemented something into the story that is available in your home instance too, so good to see that they're continuously adding new things to your home instance. The home instance isn't just something that was thrown out the window and forgotten, like some people say dungeons are now. I'm happy for that. When you play the story, you'll see what you get in your home instance. I won't go into any spoilers. I'll definitely mention it in a future video, but they are continuously updating the home instance and adding new things to it, and I'm happy and glad for that. So those are pretty much my first impressions. As far as the map goes, I did enjoy the map. I thought it looked like a really cool map. The map did end up being in the Fire Island chain, somewhat above Ember Bay, right below the area in between Radisum and Dragon's Stand. Sadly, it was not in the area that I wanted it to be. It was right underneath that area. I would have loved to see a map in between Radisum and Dragon's Stand, which is where I thought it would have been, but it is underneath that. Interestingly enough, there are several floors to this map as well. The bottom floor seems like it's a bit more watery than all the other floors, but in general, the map looked really cool. I think it was well designed. I do think it isn't as user-friendly as some of the other maps, but maybe that could just be because I didn't have the mastery. I think with the mastery, you might get around the map a bit easier, and it's a bit more fun to traverse the map, so I have to see when I get the mastery, and I'll definitely give some final thoughts on the map in our map video when I have explored it a bit more and have some more information on it and played through it somewhere with the mastery as well. One other thing I do want to mention also, earlier I mentioned that I felt like the story was a bit empty. That could have been because I did play with a group of friends, so maybe that's why I made it feel like it was a bit shorter than all the other episodes, so that could have been a factor in that. But overall, I think this patch was great, the story was great, and we'll definitely go over lore-wise and specifics in the story, some of the discrepancies that I had, and some of the things that I thought should have been different or I thought were kind of weird in our story review video, which will be coming up sometime this week or sometime next week. So that's pretty much the video for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it and found it informative. If you did, go ahead and leave a like on the video, would really appreciate it. If you want to talk about anything in the comments section regarding the story, regarding the new patch, regarding my first impressions, you can definitely go and leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear your feedback on the new mastery track, on how the story played out. I will try to moderate the comments section and try to delete any comments that link to the leaks. I don't really want that stuff in the comments section. Like I said, you can Google it if you want, and I'm sure you'll find search results because you're bound to. But anything else you want to talk about in the comments section, definitely go ahead. I'll be down there talking to you guys as usual. And if you want to check out my most recent video, you can go and click the annotation right here. If you want to check out a similar video to this one, you can click the annotation here. You want to check out the vlogging channel, tutorials channel, my other channels, click the annotation here. And if you want to donate $1 to my Patreon page, you can click the annotation here. That's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching as always. And this is GSmaniamsmart. I'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.